What's up, everybody? Sean back with you guys, and today we've got a special interview with ThatDudeBeeff on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, but he might delete it because of that update, which is awful.
That's the worst skin in the world, man.
I hate it. I hate it too. I think everybody does. And he was telling me an interesting story before we get into the main meat and potatoes of the interview here. He was just telling me a story about a guy who reached out to Snapchat on Twitter and was like, "Yo, if I get retweets, what's the story on that?"
The guy said it was the worst skin he ever had, and he wanted to delete it. And so he wrote to Snapchat. I think it was a direct message, actually. And he said, how many retweets until you go back to the old skin, the old version? And they said 50,000. I think when I got to look at it, it was about 12 hours old, and it had over about 540,000, 542,000, something like that.
And they still haven't changed it
They
back.
still haven't changed it.
They better keep their word, because it's pretty bad. I'm getting ready to delete this.
It's terrible. I can't stand it. You don't like it.
Nah.
It's bad.
Nobody likes it. I've heard that has it, so yeah. But anyways, the main meat and potatoes that we're doing here is my man over here is about to enter a strongman competition, his second one of his life, and he's got his competition tomorrow. So I figured we'd do a quick little impromptu interview and kind of see, what's been going on with him, how his training's been going, how he feels entering the competition tomorrow, what he's been eating, what his lifts have been like, all that sort of thing. So tell us, what brought you back to strongman? Because you did it, and then you went away from the game for a little bit, and then you've got a resurgence now. So what brought you back to it?
Oh, man. A whole different, it was a lifestyle change. When I was in it, it was a lot of, go to bed early, wake up early, train correctly. Everything was, just be strict. It was a lot more strict. When I went away from it and I got into that whole poker world, it was a lot of, hey, man, let's sleep for 3 or 4 hours, drink a ton of coffee, play for 12 to 14 hours. I started smoking, it's never a good idea. A lot of, alcohol drinking and a lot of libations, I guess, just because, when you have all that free time and there's just money flowing around, and you also have to blow off a lot of steam. So long story short, what was the question? Why did I get back into it?
Yeah.
Basically because I realized that's not a sustainable lifestyle, and even though I was having a great time, I was really enjoying myself doing it, there was never a feeling of fulfillment. It was very fun, the freedom was great, but it didn't feel fulfilling to me. It felt like there was still a void there that needed to be filled up. I ended up going back to the gym, just on a whim. It was the beginning of the football season. I was pumped up about football. Just started lifting a little bit here and there, and then next thing I know, I was like, you know what? Let me see if I could still do this. Let me see if I could lift heavier. And then next thing I know, without I think it was 3 days back in the gym, I said, I'm just gonna go for it, man. I'm gonna start training right again. I'm gonna get the nutrition back to where I know where it's supposed to be, and here we are. I want to say 4 months later, and tomorrow, like he said, tomorrow's my competition, so I'm pretty excited about it.
Very good. So as you mentioned, 4 months. So you've been training for 4 months now for the competition. On average, how long do you think you need to train for a competition like this to get yourself from whatever point A to competition ready? I
would say it's very person dependent. It depends on, now, I mean, me personally, I've always been a lifter, I guess you could say, on and off for, I want to say, maybe 14 years, mostly off, but it's also, if you have your nutrition correct, and if you're following a very strict program, and you realize, if you know how to listen to your body, I would say anywhere between, maybe 16 weeks is optimal, which is actually 4 months, but it's also, if you know what you're training for, because, I mean, there's a ton of different strongman events, and once you know what events you're going for, and you can just dial in and specifically train for those events, I think 4 months is plenty of time.
Okay, so you think 4 months is about ideal almost?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're feeling pretty good entering the comp, and you mentioned nutrition. You mentioned nutrition being key. What was your nutrition like for preparing for this competition?
Oh, man. Well, in the very beginning, I want to say the first 2 or 3 weeks, it was literally eat anything and everything under the sun, just because I was so sore, I was so tired, just because the very high intensity, very high volume. Normally it's one or the other. Either you're going to lift heavy, lower reps, lower sets, just to get your central nervous system in check, or it's going to be high volume but lower weight. So you're going to do more sets and more reps just to get, best of both worlds. So the first couple weeks it was literally, hey man, I think we're going to have pizzas and cheesesteaks. Of course, still the chicken, tuna fish, things like that. But as you get closer to the contest, I would say maybe after the first month, I started to clean up my diet a little bit more. And then as you saw yourself over the last 2 weeks, it's literally super clean foods, maybe like once a week. We'll have ribs or we'll have a whole pizza. Just enjoy yourself, that one time a week. But for the most part, it's just a lot of protein, a lot of carbs, good fats like the coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, things like that.
Very good. So the nutrition, you clean it up a little bit at the end, in the middle there, in the beginning, you're kind of just getting your feet about it.
The beginning's always my favorite, just because you can just go ham, and it's just. When you're like me, man, you love to eat. It's just no
Who
holds
doesn't?
barred. No holds barred.
Everyone loves to eat.
Yeah, milkshakes,
right? Everybody can
everything.
agree on that.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Now, how do you train for a competition like this? My understanding of strongman is there are many different variations of things you have to do. So would you say to somebody that wants to do strongman or somebody that's training for it, or how did you particularly train, do you think if you're really good at a deadlift that you should focus on being the best at the deadlift? Or do you think you should say, okay, my deadlift's pretty good, let me focus on something I'm weaker at, like a yoke carry?
The yoke carry, yeah.
Yeah, so how do you feel about that? Do you feel like you should try to be very... Are you trying to be very decent in each area, or are you focusing like, hey, I'm really good at the deadlift. Let me like try to get the best deadlift I can, so I know I'll ace that comp and I'll win that round of it.
Now, me personally, I always go by feel. For my weight, a lot of my lifts they'll be seen in the strongman world and powerlifting world and everything like that. They'll be seen as mediocre still. The reason for that, though, like we just talked about, I've been out of the game. I didn't touch a weight for almost 2 full years, and like I said, with like the drinking, smoking, so like I'm still trying to catch up, even though I've been training for 4 months. I would say most people, if they're great at the deadlift, if they're very comfortable with it, they might train it once a week, and it'll just be like high volume, like a lot of reps, lower weight, just to keep going. Like me personally, my log press might be the worst. Right now, I actually got weighed in today, fully clothed and everything. I was 275 pounds. That's a heavy frame, it's a heavy body. The heaviest I ever log pressed, which is you take the log, take it from the floor, press it over your head. I just did 200 back in December, and since then I've just done strictly volume work. There was nothing heavy. But I've also been, because that's one of my weaker lifts, I was doing that 2 to 3 times a week just to try and, get more acclimated to it. So I would say find your weaknesses, work on them the most, just to try and like bring them up, because in strongman, it's where powerlifting, it's like you want to be great at deadlift, bench, and overhead press. Or I'm sorry, no overhead press with powerlifting. It's the squat. See, I'm getting confused already. But you want to be well-rounded, because you're never going to be the strongest at like 2 or 3 events unless you're like the elite level. So what you want to do is you want to just be well-rounded, because what you do is you accumulate points in these contests. So if there's 5 events and there's 10 people, if you come in first place, you get 10 points. That's great. So I would say just be well-rounded and just do your best.
So you come in second place, you'll
get 9 points.
Okay.
Right. And then it's descending, the further down you are, the less points you get.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been going for well-rounded training, which is kind of what I thought you might have been doing. Probably the best way I would guess to go as well.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll find out tomorrow, I guess. We'll find out.
So at this point, one night removed from the competition, if you look back at everything you've done the last 4 months, prepare, nutrition, training, everything, is there anything that you look on right now that you think you could have done better? Or or are you basically at this point saying, you know what, these last 4 months, I basically did the best I can, and I'm ready to go tomorrow. I'm 100% feeling great. There's nothing I would have changed. Or do you think that sort of revelation might come tomorrow after the competition, where then you might go, maybe I should have done this, or maybe I should have done that?
I would say right now I'm in between both. I'm very comfortable and very happy with what I've done and how far I've come in that 4-month span. But at the same time, maybe it's just my personality, but I'm sure, a lot of other athletes can agree to this. No matter how much you give in the gym, no matter how much you concentrate on your diet, you will always wake up the next day going, you know what, maybe I could have done this a little bit better. Maybe I could have paid a little bit more attention to that. Right now, the night before, I'm sitting there going, you know what, all the hard work has been put in, and if I made any mistakes along the way, it'll show tomorrow in the contest. So, right now I feel like I'm fine. I feel like I've done very well. I didn't hire like a coach or anything. I didn't follow like an exact nutrition guide. My calories were, in the beginning, I was actually only aiming for about 4,000. Right now I'm up to like 5,500, and it's cleaner foods, so I'm eating a lot more food, which is, it's always great. But like you're always full and like, But like I said, we'll see tomorrow. I feel happy right now, but
okay.
It's always, the story will be a lot more telling tomorrow after the contest.
That's why I figured I'd ask now out
Yeah.
of curiosity to see what you would say. And
Oh, because I'm not gonna go. Oh, I did everything perfect, and then like if I bomb a couple events, no, I'm not.
Right, then tomorrow you'll be
Right.
like, I see what I should have done.
Exactly.
So I thought it'd be an interesting, to look back on this and see
Right.
what you said versus then.
Yeah.
So another thing is, you said this week you're doing a no-load lift leading up to the competition. And so do you want to explain to everybody what that is? And is that something that you think everybody practices, or is that something that you yourself practice and not everybody else is practicing?
I mean, I don't know what everybody else is doing. I mean, for me, I think I'm making this up. The actual quote-unquote no-load. What it is, when you train for months at a time, you're always doing certain percentages of your maximum lift. So if I can bench 315 pounds, 90% of that would be, I'm not even going to try and guess, like maybe 280, 270.
Well, you are Rain Man with math,
I know.
so I wouldn't be surprised if
Once my eyes start rolling in my head, I'm like, maybe I'm going to try and figure this out on camera. So anyway, you're always trying to lift, a certain percentage of your max weight all the time. Now, it just depends on how many reps and sets and everything else you want to do with it. If you're doing a specific program, maybe they'll tell you, for 3 weeks, go balls of the wall, balls deep, hey, go ham, whatever you want to call it. And then once your body starts to break down, you have to listen to it, and you do what's called a deload week.
All right, everybody, sorry for that little interruption there. We had a camera cut off. The Canon T3i only likes to shoot for 10 minutes on end. And luckily, I kept looking at the camera to make sure when it was going to happen, and we cut it off. But where we left off was you were talking about deload.
The deload
week and no load and how you made that up. So pick right up on the deload week.
So what you were asking was,
Is the
I forget now.
deload?
Does everybody do it? Okay.
Is the deload week
good.
something that everybody?
I'm thinking about the no load and everything else. All right. So anyway, after a couple weeks of doing like 80% of your lift, 90%, your body starts to break down, and you're not going to sustain that type of energy and strength week after week after week without any type of break. So then you go to a deload week, and you're lifting like 40 or 50% of your lifts just to like keep the muscles going and like the blood flowing and everything else. The whole week leading up to the contest, the final week, I call it a no-load because you're not working out at all. I went to the gym twice, literally just to like get on the treadmill, just to make sure I'm not like fully lethargic come Saturday.
So keep the cardio up a little bit.
Yeah, try to just get the blood flowing, but don't do any like resistance training. Just let everything heal, let everything do whatever it wants to do. For my first contest back in the day, I remember being told this is what you can do. You can literally do a no load, which is no resistance training at all, or you could just go back to like doing like 30 and 40% with a lot of repetitions. I don't like doing a lot of repetitions. That's not in my repetitions. It's not my repertoire. So that's kind of
there you go.
That's the whole thing. So I opted for the no load week, which might have been a mistake as well. Not from like a strongman perspective, but just because my week drug out. It was the longest. It felt like a year, So, but we're here, man. It's Friday night. I want to say like 12 hours away from the contest. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Perfect. So it's going to be exciting. And again, if you want to follow him on all the social media, we mentioned it earlier, ThatDudeBeeff.
With two Fs.
With two Fs. And if you want to see, if you're watching this video and it's 2020 and you're like, how did that guy do 2 years ago in the competition?
Check me out, man.
Go on there and find this time frame, February 2018, and you'll be able to see how he did. Leave it out on any final thoughts here, is what we'll end it on. Do you have any final thoughts on either anything we've talked about, anything you want to bring up, or any advice you would give to somebody who is looking to start in strongman, maybe is thinking, hey, I want to do that. Like, what would you say to them? And another good question to throw two out there. I know I should probably paste them. And
there's a lot of questions now.
What are you looking forward to most for the event? Which event? Which particular one are you looking forward to the most?
I would say my favorite is the deadlift, just because for me that's like the ultimate test of strength. You're literally just picking up the heaviest load you can from the floor, and you have to stand straight up with it. Just have it locked out. And to me, that's like the manliest thing. Like, who can lift the heaviest thing off the ground? To me, that's really cool. The one that I'm excited about the least is the yoke walk, because you're putting a ton of weight on your back, and it's resting on your spine, on your neck almost, a little bit lower than your neck. And as soon as you go to pick it up and you're walking with it, you feel like, I don't want to say a tremendous pain, but it's just total discomfort from head to toe. I don't know if it's sitting on a nerve or what, but you can literally feel it, and it's very uncomfortable. For anybody that wants to start in strongman, probably shouldn't, it's weird because I just said, well, this hurts from head to toe. But you just got to remember, it's like any other sport. Whatever you put into it, you'll get back. It's going to get tough. It's going to be hard. There's going to be a lot of times where, like, you're sore. Or if you're messing around with kegs and stuff like me, you're going to get, bumps and bruises everywhere. But it's all a part of the process, Just enjoy it, Take it for what it's worth. If you're already a gym goer, 90% of the time you go to the gym, it's just average. Then you have that 5% of the time where you don't want to be there. You don't want to put in the work. And then the last 5%, it's like the best thing you could ever do. Where, like, you're just super excited about it. So I would say, if you want to get in the strongman, just take it day by day. Ask a lot of questions. My mistake was I saw it on TV one time and I was like, man, I feel like I could do that. I've always been like a bigger guy. So what did I do? I literally went out and got empty kegs, filled them with like water, sand, everything I could. And I just would pick them up. Now at the time I didn't know this. They were about 250 pounds. I didn't know the weight. I would literally just pick them up and I would go in my backyard and just run up and down the backyard with them. I got neighbors just looking out the window like, what is this guy doing? He's weird. But yeah, if you want to start strongman's for everyone. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what sex you are. If you have any like limitations, just give it a try. It's really, to me, it's fun. So I would encourage like anybody to at least try it. At least try it one time.
Very good. Well, again, if you want to follow him, ThatDudeBeeff with 2 F's. And we wish everyone here that's watching, me, all of our friends, we're wishing the best of luck tomorrow. Can't wait to hear how you do.
Huh? You don't have fans?
There might be
fans.
What
am I doing
Who
here?
knows?
You told me this was like a huge production.
Yeah, I know. I lied.
Oh, shit.
Remember I told you it was going to be like 500,000 views?
Yeah.
I just
540.
Yeah, I know. I meant on YouTube in general, not on my channel.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. But anyways, I mean, maybe we'll get it.
Follow this man. Please subscribe to him. Like this video. If you want to see more, let him know. In the comment section below, let him know what you want to see, man. He's here to serve the people.
I am. It's all for you guys. I brought this on. I thought you guys would like it. Let me know if you did. Let me know if you didn't. Let me know whatever you think down below.
Please like it. I want to be here more often. Maybe we'll get like a better setup. Maybe we'll get the 500,000 views one day. You never know.
Instead of a food tray, we'll use a desk.
That'd be great. I love this setup. This is fantastic.
Works great. The mic sounds great. The people love it.
Yeah. Maybe we won't upgrade.
Yeah.
If it works like this, who cares?
If people like
it's all about the personality, the talent. You know what I mean?
High five.
That's what I'm talking about.
We'll see you guys next time.